he had people do it. So I don't know if that makes you a mass murderer.
Stupid hats.
What's wrong with the hats?
Oh, God.
Chip's hats. Yeah, those are so
every
bad.
time.
Yeah, what's wrong with them? Fucking nothing wrong with that.
I think because I mentioned it, somebody made a montage of your hats falling off.
Oh, did they?
Yeah. Fucking awesome.
Yeah, they do come off once in a while.
They come off a lot.
That
your
means
hats.
some poor soul had to go over every episode and watch in a row to get
the
the
hat to come off.
And watch your hat come off.
Yeah. I thought Denny was going to be in the
Denny
whole show.
Falcone?
Yeah, but he won't. I guess he's fucking waiting to be invited.
What?
So we're hanging with Ant.
Vampire?
Who does, yeah, he's not allowed to come unless I invite him in.
Yeah. Yeah, they got a weird... it's very hard just to have a rap with a female comic.
Because I think the thing that makes me special doesn't make me special around a female comic.
Oh,
like the
right.
thing that makes me special is that I'm funny and I have an interesting job. But
Extra chromosome.
You're more special than you think, Jim.
Special.
there is that, yeah. The comb the hairdo forward. Yeah.
Your tail you've shaved down.
Some woman told me you ruined me. She goes, you ruined me. Like I go out to restaurants with guys and they try to be funny to the waiter and it makes me angry.
Oh, that's
How
gotta be.
unfunny they are.
How unfunny they are because they're doing like chip-like puns and not understanding.
Oh,
They're a joke.
Yeah.
That's got to be pretty bad. When you're saddled with someone that thinks they're really funny and they're not.
They're not.
Oh,
They
believe
keep
me, I know.
trying to push
Oh,
it.
shit. Yeah. Hey, wait a minute.
I love making a joke to a waiter or something and they don't get it at all. Where it's like, hey, this dish is really hot, be careful. And you're like, grab it with my face? And they're like,
Yeah,
no,
no.
don't. I'm like,
No,
I know.
what are you doing? Yeah.
Okay.
Boy. Yeah, we were through that a few times. Oh, don't get the joke.
Or purposefully, I like to bomb.
dear, yeah.
Oh, yeah, many times. or I like purposely bombing in front of a waiter just to make whoever I'm with uncomfortable.
It is. I've been victim to that. When Jimmy does that, it's so embarrassing. You feel compelled to explain immediately to the waiter who he is and why he's doing this. And,
No, he's an asshole.
and then you
We're
just
not-
look like a shithead.
Or just like, not even doing
Like,
chip.
what? Give me some. Give me.
I did it with Kelsey. Me and Kelsey were on the road. I did something with her. Like just something like the food will come and like I eat most of it and just to say to the waitress, like she'll come over and I'll be like, I didn't like it. I think there was a problem with the food, you know. And
Just to know she's gonna be like, yeah.
she politely laughs because you're tipping, and she'll be like, oh, and I laugh and I ramp it up like, you know, and it's just so uncomfortable.
It's so embarrassing.
It's a terrible joke, and we know she doesn't want to laugh, but she has to laugh.
And how many of those does she have to listen to every day?
Every fucking day.
And laugh. She's got to laugh like that. And oh, fuck that.
You know, or I'll tell her, or I'll say like the waitress will be like, "Do you want some dessert?" And I'll point at Kelsey. Like, nah, my wife tells me I'm looking like a fat pig, so I just can't. And then, and then instead of just going with it, she panics and she's like, "No, I don't say that." I'm like, "That was a great improv."
It really is the word. Well, the elevator rides were a nightmare with Jim Norton because you'd get in, and if you were the only two in the elevator. And it stopped on a floor and more people got in, he would start a conversation in the middle, like we were having a conversation, and be like, no, it's not even a death sentence anymore. They have medicine. Don't worry, sweetie. Don't worry. We'll get through this. And I'm sitting there laughing like, no, it's
Yeah.
or when you would act like you had some kind of mental problem, and we would like call him an idiot.
Yeah.
Like, stop doing that.
Oh,
you're
screaming me.
retarded.
That was the old Club Soda Kenny thing on the road with Dice.
Yeah.
Where me and Kenny used to.
Act like it's hard.
No, just like I would have to act almost autistic because I would laugh because Kenny and everybody's character. We'd go to Starbucks, and I would just touch something, and literally in a full Starbucks, this is 1999, he would slap me in the face and go, "Stop touching that!" And nobody ever came to my defense because they were always afraid that this big fucking
he's a
mean
goon.
guy, they didn't know what our relationship was. The only time Dice got mad is we did it in the airport one time. And Dice got mad because we were in the airport. Yeah, Kenny was screaming at me a baggage claim. Like I was talking to these couple of girls about coming, like, you guys want to come to the show? And Kenny came over and slapped me in the face in front of the girls. He's like, "Stop talking to them." I was like, "I'm sorry." And it was so...
He probably thought security was going to throw you out or something. You know?
It just made me so happy. It
Yeah.
was so fucking uncomfortable.
Maybe 2 times I did.
I remember the person.
Yeah,
I remember
Oh, it's just
calling
one of
you
those.
and telling you she's on her way.
Yeah. Oh, Christ.
pick you
That's
up?
right.
No, at his
oh,
house.
No, she wound up, because we were done, and then she wound up showing up. She drove from Akron to my house.
Really?
And she's like, I'm in your driveway. Like,
like a good surprise, but you're like, that's awful.
This is good.
Yeah, I called Ann. I told
Wow.
her, dude, she's thanks.
Well,
She's on her
you
way.
are going to have to leave right after you blow me.
Oh, she blow you?
No, I know.
That's the worst. Take a 12-hour trek to get there. Like,
Yeah.
That's good. Beat it.
No, she got a little clingy, as they say.
Yeah,
A little
some people do.
clingy. Yeah.
Some people do, right? They get a bit
Oh, yeah.
attached
Crazy.
at the hip.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, this was not what it was.
And then what do you do?
Yeah.
Keep fucking him. I'm weak.
I'm weak.
Keep
I'm
going
weak.
back.
I'm weak.
I know how many. What fucking weakness? They defrock me.
Bad lieutenant. I hate that redacted shit.
That stinks.
How do they get away with just like not releasing all of it?
Yeah.
I don't- like,
national security they use a lot.
What's still going on from
And
6
right,
years ago?
exactly. Yeah. Why can't they tell us what people said, what they saw?
Because they don't want us to know what scumbags the government is.
Yeah, no shit.
It's probably not even said. Like one guy raised the point.
Or maybe incompetent or something.
Incompetent. Like if you're the kid of family members who helped like our country against Castro and you still have family in Cuba. Like, all right, there's certain things where your family may have helped the U.S. and
Yeah.
you still have living family members in those countries and the government might hurt your surviving family. Then you might want to name
Yeah,
names. Then
exactly.
you don't want to name names or whatever.
Name
All right.
names.
All right, I got a name.
Yeah, exactly. But that's it.
That's it. I mean, like whenever you hear something and you're like, well, you don't know, maybe the government needs it
Yeah.
for security. Has anything like that ever come up like 20 years later? Like, okay, now
I
that's
know,
passed.
right?
Here's what we couldn't tell you.
I don't know. I
Nothing,
think
ever.
it happened.
There's never an excuse.
I think it happened exactly like they said it did in the
JFK got shot.
yeah. That's one magic loogie.
I don't even think JFK ever existed.
Oh,
think-
really?
Yeah,
That's
conspiracy
that's,
That's right.
that is really
President
taking it up.
Idlewice. Yeah, wait, what?
Wait.
Okay, they're not saying. They're just saying he said watch the fireworks. I don't.
When did it get shot? What month was it?
November.
November?
Mm-hmm.
No. When did JFK get shot?
November.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I forget the date. November 22nd. Was it 22nd? Yeah, November 22nd, 1963.
Police in car, light head, get away. Watch the fireworks. Like a mortar. This is a very good one. Right to Kennedy head.
Yeah, it just fizzles out on the trunk. Light head.
Yeah, that's...
Yeah, it's like one of those things that you put in the street. You light it up and it just goes right to Parkland Memorial.
Yeah.
Like, all right, there's certain things where your family may have helped the U.S. and
Yeah.
you still have living family members in those countries and the government might hurt your surviving family. Then you might want to name
Yeah,
names. Then
exactly.
you don't want to name names or whatever.
Name
All right.
names.
All right, I got a name.
Yeah, exactly. But that's it.
That's it. I mean, like whenever you hear something and you're like, well, you don't know, maybe the government needs it
Yeah.
for security. Has anything like that ever come up like 20 years later? Like, okay, now
I
that's
know,
passed.
right?
Here's what we couldn't tell you.
I don't know. I
Nothing,
think
ever.
it
There's
happened.
never an excuse.
I think it happened exactly like they said it did in the
JFK got shot.
yeah. That's one magic loogie.
I don't even think JFK ever existed.
I
Oh,
think-
really?
Yeah,
That's
conspiracy
Yeah, that's right.
that is really
President
taking it up.
Idlewice. Yeah, wait, what?
Wait.
The new Chip Chipperson podcast is up, by the way. It's an odd one.
God, dude,
Who's
I've done that guy's show. He's an awful host.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
He is terrible.
If you guys
Very
ever-
hard to
if you
work
ever
with.
ask any, you got to go on there. Fucking,
Yeah, he's
I'm
very-
telling you,
He's
be ready.
difficult to work with, but I have feelings that I like doing the show.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, I think I'm taping this week.
Tomorrow night.
Oh,
Tomorrow
you're
night.
taping,
Yeah.
I'll be taping, but I missed Sunday. Who was on?
It was Sam came on and Will Sylvence, who people love.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
Will Sylvence is perfect on it, and Christina was not available, so Liz from the Comedy Cellar came on. I think that was
awesome.
it. Christina, people love. She's great on it. But
Yeah,
when
she's
people
good.
are not available, like she was doing something
Who's
on a film
Christina?
set.
His new girlfriend?
Christina Palumbo. No, she works here, and she used to work on Jay Thomas's show. And Bobo, I've tried to get on, but apparently he doesn't give a shit about being around her anymore. He won't come on the show.
Yeah,
What?
he really is a
I don't know.
weirdo.
Bobo has standards?
Yeah, he won't come on the show.
He does.
I don't know why he doesn't like Chip.
He has
But I know
standards.
Chip and Bobo are going to go to war. It's going to get
You want to go to war?
It's going to get fucking ugly.
That Will is hilarious.
I love him on the show.
that show because,
he do?
like, Chip loves Will because Will say the dumbest shit
Yeah,
I've ever heard.
he's free. Him and Chip just see eye to eye. It's fun.
Yeah.
And he's silly on it.
And Chip just compliments him constantly, tells him how he should be on every show, and he's just great.
Yeah, so the new one's up. It's a weird one, but I liked it. I like when they're a little weird. They have no flow. Once in a while, you need that. That's what he is.
It's great.
Chip's not an anti-hero. He has no flow. He stinks.
I love
How many have you done?
I've read some stuff that's just nuts about Hollywood and politicians and that pedophilia cabal that's supposedly going on in Hollywood and everything. It's some crazy
What's
stuff.
that?
Like Corey Feldman is
The club. Yeah, the club. And Corey Haim was in it.
Yeah.
Passed around.
Yeah,
It's the
just
only way-
How much was
getting
membership?
passed around. well, that was a long time ago, Jim. There was supposedly a group of very important men that were in the movies, and they would take these young boys and girls and have sex with them.
Yeah.
I forget what it was called. The group.
Sodapop Club.
The Sodapop Club.
Compound Media.
Club? Whoa.
Yeah, the Sodapop Club was a club specifically for these youngsters in Hollywood. But there are other stories, like there was one about Heather.
Media.
There's one about Heather O'Rourke. Heather O'Rourke was the little girl from Poltergeist.
Oh, yeah.
Who supposedly had been getting abuse since she was like 5.
Really?
And then there was a show called Rocky Road that was on in the 80s. It was one of the last appearances she had on a show. And it was based on a beach kind of an atmosphere, so the little kids could be put in bikinis without any suspicion. And they'd bring these executives in when these guest stars would come on, and they would dance on a stage for these executives while they jacked off. This is all
way.
obviously alleged, but
Where would they
it's a
jack
thing.
off? Together or in separate rooms?
Sitting in a theater, because the studio they used to tape the show was the same studio they used for Jeopardy. So it was full of the seats like a theater.
Jesus.
So people would sit in these seats and just jack off.
I'll
to
take
these,
a red baby wipe for $200, Alex. Creeps.
Yeah, so that was supposedly what they did, and then they took Heather O'Rourke wherever they took these girls to physically assault them, and it wound up causing so much scarring in her bowels that she got intestinal blockage that ended up killing her about a year later.
She died at 13.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, I actually thought she was younger. That was she.
So
Wow.
that was.
I've never heard that.
That's one of the stories that are. Well, they're all making the rounds now. There's another story about
It is coming
George
out.
Lucas. George Lucas. Yeah. Well, this one is more. There's an interview with George Lucas. He talks about the script for Indiana Jones, the first one, and there's a line where the girl in it, who was
A tough woman?
Karen Allen.
One
Is that
of
her
those
name?
drinking the guys under the
Yeah,
table?
yeah, drinking the guys under the table. Says, I was a child, I was in love, and he goes, you knew what you were doing. And George Lucas talks about that. She was supposed to be 12 when they met, when he was in his late 20s, early 30s. She was supposed to be a 12-year-old.
That was the backstory?
That was the backstory
Whoa.
that Lucas wanted to do and actually had written into
Why?
that, and then they changed
a
it.
fucking moron, that guy.
But then I'm watching American Graffiti last night.
Yeah.
And I hadn't heard anything
Brings back
about
memories,
this.
doesn't it?
I was watching American Graffiti, good movie, George Lucas, of
Sure.
course. And the coolest guy in the movie is Milner, the race car guy.
Yeah.
He spends the whole movie driving around in a car with an 11-year-old. and there is some dialogue there that's a little weird.
Why? So you think there might have been some underlying weird thing?
Like George Lucas and some of these Hollywood types are putting their wants and needs into some of these movies.
That's right. She was. Who was that girl? Was that Mackenzie Phillips?
Yeah, Mackenzie Phillips.
Okay, yeah.
Who, by the way, was fucked by her father.
Yeah, John Phillips.
John Phillips.
Oh, yeah.
And passed around
Yeah.
In the Hollywood and music communities.
Oh, I didn't know she was
Crazy.
passed around by her dad.
She went public with that.
Crazy.
It was like a known thing, but it was predated all this. So people
But
were like,
this is some of
"That
the
sucks."
real
No, into
nutty
the teenage
shit.
years. It postdated into the teenage
Yeah.
years. She was really young here. In the teenage years, they were fucking. Maybe then too. But as a teenager, she was fucking her dad.
It's really strange, but it's all these things on various, 4chan and Reddit things.
Wow, that's a great.
Are just nuts.
All these weird connections with
Yeah.
kids and movies.
It had to be going on back then nonstop. When you couldn't get caught, it had to
Right,
be just
you couldn't get caught.
rampant.
Nobody talked.
The parents just handed these kids over. Be nice to the man.
God,
Be
damn.
nice to the nice man.
So I didn't. What else with George Lucas? I heard none of that.
Well, those are the only one I heard was from Indiana Jones. But watching that last night, I'm like, he put the lead guy. Well, it's a huge ensemble cast, but the cool guy, the entire show, he's with a fucking 11-year-old girl.
What
in
was
his car.
the point of that? Did they say why they were hanging out?
Well, he pulls up next to a car with chicks in it, and he's trying to get one of the girls in his car. And she goes, well, I'm going steady. How about you take this girl's sister? And then he goes, okay, because he couldn't see. And then the girl just runs out and hops in the car. And he's like, what are you, 12? Or something like that. But they spend the whole night together and kind of have fun. And he gives her a little trinket from his car and gives her a kiss on the cheek before she runs into the house and says how she feels like they're going steady. And it's just a weird, there's a little bit of sexual energy there.
Well, look at The Professional.
Yeah.
Professional, yeah. Although that was
right, yeah.
weird. Wasn't that part of the script that they were fucking and they changed it a little bit?
How does
I
it
don't
end?
know.
I usually shut it off when I'm finished.
Thank you. Thanks very much, Travis. Travis just came in and grabbed my cock. Travis says one of the most interesting things about Raiders of the Lost Ark is we have the transcript of the 78 meeting.
Oh, yes.
Should we do the
sure.
The story meeting.
and then you go to the ideas behind Marion Ravenwood and how the two characters know each other.
Yeah.
So I'll be Lawrence Kasdan. Do you want to be George Lucas?
Obviously, I'll be Spielberg.
Oh yeah, you be you be Spielberg.
All right.
I like it if they already had a relationship at one point because then you don't have to build it.
I was thinking that this old guy could have been his mentor. He could have known this little girl when she was just a kid, had an affair with her when she was 11.
And he was 42.
He hasn't seen her in 12 years. Now she's 22. It's a real strange relationship.
She'd better been older than 22.
That's a good Spielberg. He's 35, and he knew her 10 years ago when he was 25, and she was only 12. It would be amusing to make her slightly young at the time.
And promiscuous. She came on to him.
15 is right on the edge. I know it's an outrageous idea, but it is interesting. She's once she's 16 or 17, it's not interesting anymore. But if she was 15 and he was 25, they actually had an affair the last time they met, and she was madly in love with him, and he...
She has pictures of him.
That was the transcript from one of the script
real?
meetings.
That's for real?
Yeah, but
Yeah,
you
yeah.
don't know. But you don't know the tone of it. Again, it might have been creepy,
tone.
or it might have been, you know what I mean? Yeah, she came on to him like this being assholes.
Well, what ended up in the movie was her saying, "I was a child, I was in love," and he goes, "You knew what you were doing." So there's this.
It does exist.
Kind of thing. They wanted to cast a younger girl than her.
Who's in that?
Than Karen Allen, because if you take 10 years off of her, she was maybe 30 at the time, so
She
she's
was
20.
quite tough.
Yeah. So who knows? But it's just a weird, that's
a good point.
That's an odd fucking thing to say. Let's take our hero, our
weird-
movie hero,
weird angle on
and
it.
say he was fucking an 11-year-old when he was 25.
Is it an excuse to do flashbacks to get kids on the set, or like with Mackenzie Phillips?
maybe.
Is it like, hey, this will be a reason to keep her around, and it does kind of work in the
I
story?
mean, you know, in Hollywood, they do want just like people they like on set. They think of a reason to extend your character. You know, if they like you.
I think the kids on set, especially during the 80s, a lot of those kid shows is what they've been talking about on a lot of these message boards and whatnot. That it was just out of hand.
Yeah,
they would make shows that were specifically kid oriented as far as the cast goes, and the guest stars that they would pull on, whether the show sucked or not, it would get picked up. Just so these guys could have a place to jerk off and sexually assault
meet kids. Wow.
kids. Yeah, that seems to be what
was
was going on.